Live from a studio apartment, this is Misinformation. Well, we got a good show tonight. All the news is about dead people. Unfortunately. Not the most uplifting show in the world this evening, but we'll go over. Some days it's only dead people. So it made the jokes difficult to come up with. But we got a couple anyways. So yeah, we'll do some jokes in a second. Big news tonight. So we're talking about Lindsay Clancy still. Matt Walsh broke the internet today with some tweet about women just toughing it out through postpartum, and it's not depression. They just have a tough time acclimating to having kids. So that pissing people off. We'll get into that stuff. See what you guys think. There's Hayden Panettiere. We got some bad news about her, unfortunately, and some other stuff. Candace debate. I don't think we talked about that yet, so we'll go over my thoughts on the debate, the debacle debate, what happened. We'll start with some jokes. In one sec. Don't mind this. It's not lean. It's just a little bit of creatine. Blah, blah, blah. Well, over 25,000 Lindsay Clancy fans have now raised over $835,000 after she admitted to murdering her 3 young children. Yeah. Despite their support, legal analysts say she's still unlikely to walk. They don't believe she will walk out of the courtroom. Brutal joke. Well, just as their current favorite show is ending, Wine Moms have a brand new murder mystery to unravel. Yeah, Hayden Panettiere was found dead. Her life tragically cut shorter. I don't even have a tie to adjust. It's completely open neck. Well, Candace... let me find this. Well, Candace Owens and Andrew Wilson debated who had more to gain from Charlie Kirk's death, Tyler Robinson, Benjamin Netanyahu, or themselves. Yeah. It turns out they won. Slightly botched that last one. Wasn't that good anyways. Don't matter. It don't matter. We need more light. There we go. My cheap, just so you can see the production level here. From Best Buy, probably. Reflected off of my Venetian blinds. Suit's nice, though. We got the good suit. Okay, let's see what we got going on in the news. Let's pull up the Twitter. Will it just work? Yes. Cool. Let's see what's going on with the chat, too. Hey. Hold on, I'm pulling it. Hold on. I think I finally got the chat added to this damn thing. Perfect. I think my phone just tried to make a call. Good God. Yeah, let's leave that there. Okay. So, what do we got going on? Should we start with the debate? I guess we're on it already. So, Candace Owens and Andrew Wilson debated the Charlie Kirk case, specifically Candace's statements about Charlie Kirk. She's had a ton of different theories as to maybe the Israelis were behind it. Maybe TPUSA is involved. She's insinuated, though she declined to full-throated say that during the debate. What are the thoughts on the debate? I thought, honestly, the first 30 minutes of it, they were just weirdly debating semantics. I don't know. The Andrew Wilson guy who's pictured here, he seems like a smart guy. I guess he's a good debater, but he's a little bit too, like, debate rules. I've got to debate the debate topics and make a claim, and I've made a claim and you must answer the claim. It's like, dude, most of what people care about during debates are the optics. That's just how it is. It's unless you're like a debate nerd, you're not really going to care about the actual debate. And even then, it's like, even the debate nerds, it's like if you came in being a Candace Owens fan, you probably then just like looked for whatever she was doing good that proved her point. And if you believed that she's BS and you wanted to see her look really stupid, you probably also saw that during the debate, right? That was kind of my view. Like I don't like what Candace has been doing. I think it's wrong. I think she's basically using this whole situation with her dead friend for money, which kind of sucks. And I don't think any of the claims have any merit. So I was watching the debate, and to me, outside of the first like 30 minutes to an hour where they were just debating like the semantics of different things, it did seem like Andrew Wilson was putting her on the spot. He was forcing her. We'll get a clip we'll play here in a second where he's like basically trying to pin her down and get her to admit, you know, do you have any proof that the Israelis were behind it? You've been saying this shit on your show. Do you have any proof that TPUSA was behind it? You guys can listen and hear sort of to her response.
Do you have any evidence that Erica Kirk or TPUSA participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I've never said they participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk, so how could I say that I have evidence they participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Okay.
So that's a really good non-answer, first of all. She doesn't say no, right? She just says, and she doesn't, again in a second here, she just says she's never made that statement, so how could she basically answer the question to a statement she's never made?
Okay. So then you don't believe that they did?
I never have said that statement, so I'm not going to get you to ask me personal questions about things that I've never said on record.
Okay, fair.
Same thing. Never said that either. I didn't say they did it. I didn't say I didn't believe that they did it, so I can't answer either of those questions.
Your team is sending messages in the back saying they have a video they want to play.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know what the video is. Candace said she has full confidence Israel was involved.
Yep.
Yeah. He said evidence that they killed him. I said this
ahead
is why
and play
people
it,
think
though.
their involvement.
So she
If
can
they have the clip,
Yeah,
they
Involvement, by the way.
can
Got
play
the
the clip.
clip.
Yeah.
They're referring to a clip.
Yeah.
This was also...
Via who? My guess is Pierre. Erica. I think that there's a reason Pierre knew that Charlie was dead first. I think there's a reason he was a priority. How? Why? I think France and Israel are involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And I'm going to put that out there with full confidence.
Okay.
I also
Involvement.
know
I understand.
Yeah.
So you
That's-
think you with full confidence you think that
Yeah, I think
that
Israel's
France
involved.
and Israel.
Yeah, I mean, the person that gave me that thing that I reported said that French Foreign Legion were on the ground that day.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this would be at a professional limitation for me to then go and probe that information that I handed over. I can't do that. I'm not
But
the
you
United
don't have
States
any
government.
positive evidence of
Okay,
that.
okay.
Right?
Liz, I don't. Can you just stop? It's actually just like annoying to hear you keep saying positive evidence. I've just asked me what I think, and I just tell you, yes, I think they are
that's
involved.
a claim.
No, I said here's what I think.
I have every right
think-
to ask you about your claim.
Yeah, but
and if there's
I
positive
said,
evidence
in
for
this
your
statement,
claim.
I literally just said I think, and I am allowed to think. And
yeah,
you
you're
keep-
allowed to think,
you have
but you're
This was basically Candace's whole argument, pretty much the whole debate. You know, whenever she was pressed on, hey, do you have actual evidence that France or Israel is involved? She would just say, basically, it's a thought that I had on my podcast. I'm allowed to think, you know, which is true, but she's been making claims that you would think. I mean, people believe this stuff, right? And there's all these conspiracy theorists walking around going, oh, yeah, they're involved. And it's basically all based on hearsay, which was another big point she was bringing up in the debate. She kept saying that apparently in Utah, where the case is being tried, the pre-trial, like you're allowed to introduce evidence that's hearsay in the pre-trial portion of the trial. Of course, a lot of that stuff may not make it to the full trial, but she was essentially equating what she was doing on her podcast with the standard of hearsay that's allowed in the trial so far in the pretrial. And basically, to my eye, trying to say, hey, if they're allowing hearsay at the trial, then my hearsay, which is basically all I'm reporting, is at the same legal standard that's being put forth at the pretrial so far, right? Which wasn't good. So I watched this sort of stuff, already hoping that Candace would lose. And I saw exactly that. I saw her being called out on points, not being able to defend them. I saw Andrew kind of putting her in her place on certain things. And then, for instance, there was a moment at the end of the debate where she kind of put him on the spot and was asking him if he could name one of the 7 charges against Tyler Robinson, right? And we'll play the clip in a sec. Well, we'll play the clip right now. Here's her putting him on the spot at the very end of the show, okay?
Also, would just, if I may ask a question, which one of the charges against, or all of them, do you think Tyler Robinson is guilty of?
The specific charge?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I think is that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, but of the 7 charges.
You can so tell he's bullshitting to buy time right now, by the way. What I think is that he shot him.
That he's being charged.
Yeah, can we list them real quick? I'll tell you exactly which ones. We'll pull them up.
Well, do you know any of the charges that he's up for right now?
Yeah, of course. But
Can
I
you-
want to
can you
make sure
name
that we
one?
have them listed.
Yeah, but like can you name one? Because my general perspective is that you don't actually care about this case. You're not
Is
following
that
the
it?
case.
That's the
Yeah.
question. You're
Yeah,
just not
but
following
it seems,
enough.
It seems pretty, like, if you're going to engage and you're going to say the evidence is overwhelming that Tyler Robinson is guilty, I just think that you should, like,
All right.
can you tell me one
Then let's do the
charge
counter.
that he's...
You can really, no, this is a great gotcha.
No. You just got to ask me, play
Yeah.
clips out of context,
Yeah,
put me
yeah.
in the hot seat. So please just answer the
This
question.
is fair.
Can
Name
you
all
name,
7
can-
since you've been following the case.
Okay, sure.
Go ahead.
You name one.
Yeah, you named all 7.
I'm happy to do that, but can you name one?
I think he's been charged with murder.
That's actually incorrect.
Okay, great. Now name all 7.
He doesn't even... This is like...
Name.
Yeah, this was obviously Andrew's worst part of the debate. Now, I watched this, and again, what I was pointing out is, like, I went into it hoping Candace would get put in her place, right? So when I see something like this in the debate, I'm automatically like, oh, well, it doesn't really even matter, right? Because it's literally, it is like, when you're talking about the debate, it's kind of irrelevant. Like, whether he knows the specifics of the charges or not, he's talking about the murder of Charlie Kirk, right? That's what he's here to debate. It doesn't really matter on an intellectual level whether he knows the charges or not. But Candace's whole point is more of a feelings kind of vibe thing. Like, look, this guy doesn't even know the case, right? And of course, I glossed over it in real time because I was like, man, it's not really like that big of a deal. But this is the clip that Candace fans are pointing out to say, hey, she won the debate, right? Because she proved him wrong right here. She proved that he didn't really know any of the charges. He didn't know what he was talking about, right? And it just goes back to, that's really the crux of all debates, you know? They're really about optics. And this was a really poor optic for Andrew Wilson. He's not the smartest guy in the world. He also goes on in a second here. Not only does he not know the charges, but then he doubles down really stupidly and challenges her to name all 7, which she does. He just rips off all 7 of them. Then he questions her and says he thinks that she may have gotten the information from a text message on her phone. She shows her phone to the moderator. So it's just like, it's digging his own grave even worse and worse as he goes along here. And he's come along and, well, we can play the clip a little bit more here.
All 7.
And I
Can you
think
name all 7?
I can.
Then do it.
The first charge is aggravated murder because that's what carries
Okay.
a death sentence
So
in the
murder.
state of Utah. No,
Next.
that's not. That is literally not murder.
Okay.
The second charge is the felony discharge of a weapon. The next 2 charges are for obstruction of justice.
Okay.
The next 2 charges are for witness tampering. And the
What's
final,
the specific charges, though?
That is them. Obstruction of justice,
Both of
obstruction
those-
of justice, witness tampering, witness tampering.
Okay, and there's no other specifics to them.
Well, I can tell you why he's being
No,
charged
no,
with
no.
it.
Just the charges, and then 7.
Yeah, see, the bad thing is when you try to be an a-hole and it doesn't work.
What's the 7th?
The last charge is violence in front of a minor.
Okay, got it.
I think your team would like to pull up the 7 charges that he just asked you about. If you
Sure.
guys want to pull that up just to confirm.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of like the OJ trial and the like, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit thing. Like, you're taking a risk, like, oh, put the gloves on, you know, because you assume that they're going to fit. And when you take that risk and they don't, or the guy just makes his hand bigger, or she's able to answer all the questions, it just it undermines your credibility. So to me, I thought that was dumb. The only, just to point out how much optics really matter, I think the only debate I can remember in modern history that like the optics like really changed something were the Biden debate, right? Like it has to be such a bad performance that literally people can see that you are, what's the word? Not degenerate, but senile. Like if people can see in real time your brain degrading and that you're senile, then it can change, right? Because it's the optics that matter. So I thought it was a lose-lose. Here's also the moderator talking about how he thinks that the big winners were Candace and Andrew because they made a ton of money from it.
We'll say one. Here's why we'll say one. I think both of them won, and I'll tell you why they won. But I think Candace won because she got the money and she presented her argument. And in an area where she conceded, she says, I don't know why you're playing this video. I already conceded to you. And I said, yeah, I was wrong. And she did that. So that was good for her to do that. And I think she got in front of an audience and moved some people that probably don't watch her content. Remember, baptizing is key. Baptizing is key. And I think Andrew Wilson won because, let me explain it to you how much he won. And I think he won more than Candace won. And my argument's going to be very, very weird. You ready?
Go ahead.
You ready? This guy spent $300,000 and got somewhere between $50 to $200 million of ad viewership.
Great point.
So guess what?
He's a big winner.
My wife at home says, who was the guy? I'd never seen him before. My dad says, I've never. Most people, his YouTube channel only had 180, 200,000 subs.
Yeah.
Very good, eloquent. I've had him on. He's been on Rogan a couple times. So he's getting the momentum. I think Andrew Wilson won because for everybody that says, what an idiot to give $300,000, I think it's the same story as Kanye spent $7 million on an ad for Super Bowl and sold $25 million of merch. I think Andrew Wilson won because overnight now everybody knows who he is.
Yeah.
Very simple. So from the business standpoint,
Which might be true, but again, it just goes back to, you know, probably the only winner from the debate was Michael Knowles, who was the only correct one who actually backed out of being the moderator and said, I don't think that we should do this for money and I don't think it should be tried in a podcast. So those are my thoughts on the debate. This was also the weakest moment for Candace. Definitely was this clip here where she admits, this happened early on, she admits that she's unaware that Tyler Robinson had in a text message told, I think it was Lance Twiggs and some people in the Discord, that they would recognize him in the surveillance footage, that it was me in the surveillance footage here.
You just texted me if you want to pull it up. You said you have the text. If we can put that up on the screen. Thank you.
It was me. Look at the pictures from the surveillance footage. It was me. Okay. I literally said to you, it's not an oof. I said I didn't remember this, and I'm happy to have a fact check on that. Okay. I didn't call for the fact check saying you're wrong. I literally said I
Okay.
don't remember that from the
Well,
text
I'm just
messages.
saying to you, like,
Okay.
I'm trying to be consistent.
You just texted me if you want to pull it up. You said you have the.
So that to me, it was one of those moments where watching it, I was like, oh, she's for sure getting crushed because, you know, she's been talking about this case. For all of her naming the 7 charges at the end, she knows this case like the back of her hand. How do you not know that there's a text from Tyler Robinson saying it's me in the surveillance footage after all this time? Wouldn't that be one of the more critical things that you're aware of with the case? So that was crazy to me. What else we got today? So this was the other big news story was you got the Lindsay Clancy case, which this news just came out. today that fans have raised over $835,000 for like a GoFundMe thing. Yeah, a GoFundMe account. I think it's set up by her family in her defense. I think it's just basically like the money to support her family during the ongoing trial and stuff. So there's two narratives going on with it. One is just there are a lot of women online. I know because I posted a video about Lindsay Clancy like last week, and you get like three types of people. You get like the people that come in and are like, oh, she's a cold, like women, three types of women. There'll be women that come in and go, oh, she's a cold-blooded murderer. I accept no excuses. She needs to go to jail, right? Or get the death penalty. Then you get women who come out and defend her and are like, oh no, it's postpartum depression and this is a really important thing. It's not her fault and she was over-medicated. It's really the doctors, right? And then you get a third type of woman who comes in and goes, it's the husband. It was the husband. And they just like, they're convinced that there's a conspiracy theory around it. It was the husband that did it. So there is some sort of a legion of wine moms who are watching this as like a murder mystery show, which I think is why they also watch Candace Owens. And I think, unfortunately, with Hayden Panettiere dying so recently after coming out against Hollywood and sexualization of younger people in Hollywood, which was a story she had about when she was 18 and she was invited on a yacht. Then she dies of what appears to be an apparent drug overdose. I think people are going to somehow spin that into, oh, they must have murdered her. They must have taken her out, right? But here was Matt Walsh today. So Matt Walsh, where's the original tweet? Let me see if I can find it. It's a response to Matt. Let's just go here. Okay, so here's Matt Walsh's tweet, which ruffled a lot of feathers. A lot of female feathers were ruffled today. He's talking about the case. He says, a lot of people aren't going to want to hear this, but much of the depression that parents, and not just moms, suffer after childbirth is due not so much to hormones, but to the fact that children, especially babies, are demanding and difficult and require us to subordinate our own needs and desires for their sake. The more selfish you are, the more of an adjustment it's going to be, right? And so this was one of the responses to him. And I think these are people on the right who are responding. This is Abby Libby. She says, this is an awful take, Matt. The worst postpartum depression I had was after my second baby, second in 2 years. So there wasn't a significant change in my needs being subordinate to another's. I had a horrific last month of pregnancy, and baby was in the NICU 2 weeks. Both my first and second bouts with PPD ended the day I got my period back. She's saying it's clearly a medical thing. I went from desperate darkness to nearly normal overnight. It is the hormones and sleep deprivation. My third baby has been my least bad PPD because she's sleeping well. I want Lindsay Clancy to get the death penalty, by the way, so you don't get to demonize me for saying this. Your tirade against Lindsay has begun to extend in a cruel way to women who have brought life into the world and struggled. I'm calling you out for it. So Matt Walsh doing what he does best here. I think saying what he believes, but I mean, to me, just not a message that's going to go over well with women. Here he tried to clarify later. Here was his clarification, which I think still falls a little deaf. He says, having children is by far the most seismic change you will ever experience in your life. Nothing else comes close. Getting married, moving to another country, getting a new job, whatever. None of that has the effect of so immediately and so totally changing the way you live your life on a day-to-day basis. I don't think it helps anyone to completely reduce the mental hardship and frustration of this experience to a matter solely of hormones and brain chemistry, as if there aren't even deeper reasons why a parent might feel depressed as they learn to live in an entirely different way and are forced, for the first time, to orient their lives around something other than their own needs and desires. Of course, I would say the same thing about depression in general. There are very often deeper issues than just the chemicals. People tend to get very angry at that suggestion too, no matter how obviously true and important it is. So, there are certainly going to be cases of women who it is just too much responsibility. It's not the kind of responsibility they thought it would be. And there are documented cases of women, having babies in porta potties or throwing them in the trash or doing stuff like that, right? There are cases where I think the responsibility is not something that they want and they're just a terrible person and get rid of the child. In the Lindsay Clancy case, it's a little bit different for me for two reasons. Number one is the heavy medication. I mean, she does seem to me to suffer from some type of really bad postpartum depression, which I think goes beyond just just an overwhelm with being overwhelmed with the idea of having kids, right? I mean, this is, I think, her third kid. She doesn't seem to hate the children. There's notes of her that were read in court where she's like, she wants to love them as much as she can, and she's sad that she can't love the newest one as much as the first, and all sorts of stuff of her trying to be a good mom, I think. I do think there was something really bad going on mentally. And I think that she was over-medicated. Now, whether the doctors are responsible for that or she is responsible for that is up for debate. I mean, when you look at the list of medications she was on, it's not just that it's a big list of medications, it's a big list of doctors. So this was a person who was trying to go out and manage her own symptoms, seemingly without inpatient therapy. Trying to do it outpatient, take drugs, change up the drugs when they weren't working, try something different, and it just wasn't working. So there is a case to be made that, hey, even if she was over-medicated, she had a hand to play in declining to take certain medications that were prescribed to her, doctor shopping, trying to find different medications that she thought might help better, and that may have led to a different outcome. But the other piece is just, having a kid is really, really stressful for women, and there are a lot of hormones in play, and they're wired in a slightly in a very, very different way than men. When I was growing up, we had kittens. Like, my mom used to raise kittens, right? And it was funny because my aunt used to do it, and so she would we'd always have a litter of kittens in the house, and then my mom would we'd raise them until they were 2 months old or something, and my mom would sell them for $300 or something, right? And I'll never forget, we had this one litter. I actually don't think this was one that we raised. It was just an outdoor cat that had come into our yard in this little duplex that we lived in. And the cat had kittens out in the backyard somewhere, right? And she sort of kept to herself because she was an outdoor stray sort of cat. We were feeding her and stuff and leaving them water. But they didn't look too great. And the cat didn't look too great. And one day we came out into the backyard, and there were a bunch of half-eaten kittens in the backyard. I realize now this is a terrible story. But again, like I said, all death stories tonight. So these kittens that I'd held in my arms that I'd raised, they were literally half-eaten kitten with its entrails out. And there was one that was dying still. I don't think that one had been eaten. They were just dehydrated, a lot of them. And that one died in my arms. It was super sad. But the mom had eaten the kittens. Okay? And when you raise kittens, actually, you know this. It's something that my aunt used to say, you have to watch them. Because if a cat gets too stressed out after she's given birth, it can eat the kittens. Not even kidding. It'll just trip out. Those stress hormones will kick in. And animals throughout the animal kingdom do this. It's well documented. All sorts of different animals do this, where birds do it. If they don't have the resources to raise the litter, they may kill one or more of the litter off, right? Mothers in the animal kingdom will literally do that. So I'm not too sure that there isn't some drive like that in humans, right? The point of this being that guys, I don't think will ever understand the stress that women undergo when they're giving birth and raising kids. And it's really important to avoid that stress because it can cause a lot of crazy hormonal responses. So it's difficult for me to look at Matt Walsh and to think that he has a good take on this, because it is one of those instances where I just think that women know a little bit better how much those hormones really impact things and how stressful it is. I mean, there's women online. It seems crazy to watch, but there's a therapist literally here saying she sees herself in Lindsay, and many women do, right?
It's going to be one of the most significant trials of your lifetime. We are all experiencing something completely unprecedented. Never before have we seen so many mothers and women rally behind somebody who confessed to killing her 3 children. And it is not because we cannot hold women accountable. Many of us see ourselves in Lindsay.
You see, it's not unless you are a woman, you probably can't understand or empathize with somebody like that who, she's not saying she doesn't want to hold her accountable or that she's not guilty. She's just saying she can empathize with whatever hormonal thing is going on and that mix of emotions around having a kid. And apparently this is a slightly more common feeling for some women after childbirth than they would maybe let on. So anyways, I don't think Matt Walsh is helping the conversation, and he's certainly got plenty of women texting him back online saying so. A man who's never carried a single pregnancy, never felt his entire endocrine system rewrite itself, never experienced the biological freefall that follows, has decided the real cause of postpartum depression is selfishness, which is exactly how his tweet sounds, you know. So not a good look. This was just grok on infanticide. I had to look it up. Verify my theory on the animal kingdom culling the litter. Yeah, it's widespread, often adaptive. They do it for resource scarcity, condition of the female, stress and environmental pressure. Think about that. It's like hardwired into DNA. What else we got? I mean, we could go over the Hayden Panettiere thing. It's a little sad. I mean, she was found dead. It seems like it is probably a drug overdose. I think some Narcan was found inside of her apartment. That's what TMZ is reporting. Yeah. I don't know. She looked like she lived a little bit of a troubled life, which I never really knew about Hayden Panettiere. Some people you see, and they seem like they got it all. You know, she's beautiful, she's blonde, she's a millionaire, famous actress, but apparently she had all these struggles. You know.
When I was 19, I finally got up the courage to split from her as business-wise, because I desperately wanted a relationship with her, desperately wanted her to just be my mom. And so she came into my trailer during lunch when we were filming Heroes, and I said to her, I don't want us to work together anymore. I just want you to be my mom. I also wasn't expecting the reaction that I got, which was, "You owe me." And that's all she said. And she walked out. And part of me was like, oh, I'm relieved that it was short, like ripped the Band-Aid off. But then it was like this dark looming cloud, you know, over my head going, what does she mean by I owe her? Mm-hmm. What form of payment is she expecting? And
yeah, that's a bummer. So you just can never tell what people are kind of going through. I think she later ended up giving up custody of her child as well. So it's sort of a cycle. I don't really want to say anything bad about her because it really sucks. I was shocked that I outlived Hayden Panettiere, which I still don't know how to pronounce, by the way. But she's a little fighter. This is her and her boyfriend, I guess, like fighting outside of some restaurant.
Yes, home! Go home! I need everybody else back in the bar, please. Back in the bar. Wait a minute, dude. Call the fucking press, bro. Get the You're kicking me out. I got kicked out. What? What are you about? What are you fucking about? Back the fuck up. You're fucking You see what I'm saying? Get his ass. What the fuck is going on? Why you on her? Look at his ass. What are you? Back the fuck up. Little man. Little man. Hey. Dude, get off. I need to serve now. Fucking go! Fucking go! Come on, leaders, back down me around. Look at this fucking asshole. Get up, get up. Let it go, bro. Let it go. Fuck up.
She was fighting, I'm telling you. She was throwing some hands. They were coming up, but you know, I didn't know that about her. So, what else we got tonight? Let's see. This was I do jiu-jitsu, so this was funny to me. This was Mikey Musumeci. I guess he was doing a jiu-jitsu training with some like online influencer girl or reporter, and he's showing her some jiu-jitsu moves, some standard jiu-jitsu moves. Just so happens that she's a hot blonde with a big booty. Well, let's see what moves he decides to show her.
Hey guys, so now I'm gonna teach her a calf slicer. I actually use this position a lot against a lot of high level people, so I think it's a really cool move for her to learn. So let's do it. So we're here, I go for the footlock, she
I'm gonna start with a little scissors position, and then
turns.
Okay.
As she turns defending, I'm gonna bury my leg down like this.
All right.
As I bury, I'm gonna start going to your body here. As I go to your body, I'm gonna bring my hip down. I'm gonna bring my body up and put my body down like this. So
yeah, just give you some back shots now. This move's called the lazy doggy.
what I'm trying to do is like put this into your hips like this with the calf slicer. You see how strong that becomes?
Yeah.
Look how deep I can go. Look how deep I can slice into your butt.
Now I want you to learn a mounted triangle, just so you have two attacks from them. Okay.
You need one more move though, before we end here. There's just one more thing I gotta show you.
So lay down. So here,
Yeah.
you see I'm holding your head like this when I do it, okay?
Yeah.
My knee comes up. Now switch your hand to this. Now, as I switch from this to this, I can throw my leg over. And I can bring my hip in. And now from here, I can lock my leg. You see?
Yeah.
So hug my body, bring this knee up to my head.
Yeah.
Now collar tie me with this one. I'll grab my head with this one.
Mikey Musumeci, you sly dog.
Yeah.
Now switch his hands to here. Now throw this like over my head. Yes, now bring this under your leg.
Ooh.
Yes,
Oh my
better.
God, oh
You're doing it.
Yeah.
Now just bring your hips into me, but bring your head down. Low, yeah, yes, low. Bring your hips down. Now, oh my God. Good.
Okay.
It's strong. It's a lot of pressure.
I'll bet it was strong. Mikey, you were right up in there.
The neck and the choke there.
Okay.
The old cooter sniffer. Very famous jiu-jitsu move that you definitely show to everyone.
I think we're good for today.
Hey guys. So
That man should be arrested. He needs to be arrested right now. This is why you never let your girlfriend take jiu-jitsu classes. By the way. Right there. Oh, we're just having a fun time. Just good times. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. Look at him. It looks like he just burgled her. Little bastard. That was pretty funny. Yeah, I think that's good for tonight. not a ton of news so far today. Just dead people, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll wrap it up. We'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Pacific time.